Hey guys, my name is Alicia, and if you guys didn't know, I sell secondhand clothing on the apps Depop and Poshmark, and every month I make a video talking about what I sold and how much money I ended up making. So today we're going to be talking about what sold in the month of September 2021. So overall, I think September was actually a really good month. With the seasons changing, people are kind of shopping for some like colder weather kind of items. So I feel like that definitely helped with a lot of my sales this month. So this month I actually ended up selling 20 different items. 7 of those I sold on Poshmark and 13 of those I sold on Depop. So this month Depop took the lead with almost double the amount of things that I sold compared to Poshmark. And it's really interesting because I have way more items listed on Poshmark, so you'd think it'd be the other way around, but I don't know, Depop always seems to outperform Poshmark in that way every month. And if you guys are curious about H&M's new reselling app, Rewear, which I recently made a video about and talked about how I was gonna list some items on there, I have yet to sell anything on that platform. Now I did only list about 10 items just to kind of test it out, but so far no sales, so I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth about that at the end of the video if you were interested. But without further ado, let's just get into what I sold in September. Also guys, just keep in mind that I do have my own clothing pickup service, so a lot of the items I sell do not cost me anything to obtain, so unless otherwise stated, just assume that there is no cost associated with the item. If I did pick it up from a thrift store or something like that, I'll definitely mention it. Alright, so the very first item I sold this month was on Poshmark, and it was these turquoise bikini bottoms. I ended up selling those for $11, and after all of Poshmark's fees and everything, I ended up making $6.53. So obviously not a ton of money. If you guys don't know, I usually try to hit a $10 profit margin, which this obviously wasn't, but because these were just bikini bottoms, to be honest, you can't expect people to pay that much for them, so I was totally okay with making $6 off of them, especially because they weren't in the best condition and this was the end of the season, so I was happy to let those go for sure. Then the next thing I ended up selling was on Depop, and it was actually a bundle. So it was a bundle of these Anthropologie brown pattern pants and this vintage cherry cardigan. Now the Anthropologie pants, I have been trying to sell these things for so long, we're talking over a year at this point, and there hasn't been a whole lot of interest on them, so I was honestly really surprised to see that they actually eventually ended up selling. And the vintage cherry cardigan I actually ended up picking up from the thrift store. I was kind of just on this impromptu thrifting trip and I saw it. It was for a really good price and I was like, you know what, this is really cute. I think this would do well on Depop. So I picked it up and it actually ended up selling super quickly, I think within a couple of days, which is pretty rare for me. But anyways, I ended up selling the pants for $40 and the cardigan for $30. Because it was a bundle, the buyer got free shipping. Now keep in mind the cardigan did cost me $4.50, and because the pants were my friend's and I was helping her sell them, we did end up splitting the profit. So those two things definitely ate into my profits a little bit. But at the end of the day, I ended up making $12.65 off the pants and $12.08 off of the cardigan. So honestly, really good profits considering all of the costs that went into the items, and especially that cardigan to have a quick little flip like that, I was really happy about. Then next on Depop, I sold another bundle. I actually ended up selling quite a few bundles this month, which of course I love and definitely is part of the reason why I sold so much on Depop this month. But I ended up selling this white graphic long sleeve and this Chaps Forest green sweater. So I sold both of those in a bundle for $40, and after shipping fees, Depop fees, all that, I ended up making $19.68. So just about $10 per item, which I was super happy about. The next thing I ended up selling on Depop were these Run and Fly flared corduroy pants. These actually ended up selling pretty quickly too, which I wasn't really familiar with the brand, so I wasn't sure how well they would do. I ended up selling them for $30 plus $10 shipping. Shipping did end up being quite pricey. I actually had to go with a flat rate box just to bring the cost down. So at the end of the day, I only made $13.63. But once again, it's definitely over my $10 mark, so I was happy about that. So next on Depop, I sold another bundle. This time it was for this baby blue puffer vest and these airy twill utility overalls, which were actually brand new with tags. and they were getting quite a bit of interest on them, so I wasn't surprised that they actually ended up selling super quickly. So I ended up selling both of those items in a bundle for $60, and at the end of the day I ended up making $28.65. So if you split that into two, it's definitely over the $10 mark, which I was super happy about. And yeah, that was a really good bundle sale. Then next on Depop, I ended up selling another bundle, this time a bundle of 3. I think this was the last bundle of the month, but literally all those last couple bundles I just mentioned, it totaled to about 10 different items. I actually sold all 10 of those items in all those bundles just over one weekend. So that was a really crazy busy weekend for me, and I was super excited about that. I think it was like the very first weekend of September, so the sales were like just coming in with all these bundles. Like, it was amazing. I was so excited. Anyways, for this last bundle, I ended up selling this vintage floral maxi skirt, these vintage GWG jeans, and this wave t-shirt. So I sold all of those items in a bundle for $85 with free shipping. Now the skirt and the jeans I did pick up from the Goodwill outlet, so both of those combined I paid $3.75 for, so not a huge cost, but it's definitely there. So then at the end of the day, I ended up making $49.78. So if you split that into 3, that's about almost $17 per item. So that is a great profit margin for me. I was super happy about that. It definitely helped that I sourced these items at the Goodwill bins, because otherwise I definitely wouldn't have made that much money. So then the next item I ended up selling was on Poshmark, and it was these Adidas Stan Smith white shoes. These were kind of interesting because they were getting like a little bit of interest, but they kind of had been listed for a while. And then they actually ended up selling, and I was like, oh, finally, they sold. But then the person messaged me and was like, oh, hey, I think they said my cousin accidentally like purchased these, can you return them? And I was like, oh man. So yeah, I just ended up refunding the customer because it's the right thing to do. But luckily, only like probably a few weeks later, it actually ended up selling for real this time. So I ended up selling them for $15, and after all of the fees, I ended up making $10.53. So perfect profit margin on those. Then next on Depop, I ended up selling this Pull and Bear windbreaker. I ended up selling that for $25 plus $10 shipping. And because this person was located in the same province as me, shipping was actually on the cheaper end, which really helped. And at the end of the day, I ended up making $17.45. So that was a really great profit margin. Definitely one of my better ones of the month, especially for just like one single item. So I was super happy about that. Then next on Poshmark, I ended up selling this Polo Ralph Lauren white t-shirt. It was literally just a white t-shirt. I was actually had it in my own personal wardrobe because it was just a really good basic. So I was a little bit sad to see it sell, but I figured, you know what, it's a white t-shirt. Like, I can easily find a replacement for it. So somebody sent me an offer for $10, which is definitely on the lower side. But once again, like, there's certain items you just cannot expect people to pay any more for, such as a basic plain white t-shirt. So at the end of the day, I ended up only making $5.53. I was totally okay to let it go for that much money. So next on Poshmark, I sold this Led Zeppelin band tee. Once again, someone did send me an offer for $10, which I accepted. And once again, I ended up making $5.53, just like the white t-shirt. So same thing, like, I bet you there's a million Led Zeppelin t-shirts out there on Poshmark. So when somebody sent me an offer, I just accepted it because I thought that was totally fair. So next on Depop, I sold this Northern Reflections brown quilted jacket. I think I ended up listing this one probably in the springtime of this year, and I had a really good feeling about it, but because we're going into summer, like, obviously no one was gonna buy it. So I was super happy to see that somebody now bought it now in the fall, and I don't know, I just think this was like a really good basic piece and wasn't really surprised that it sold. But anyways, I ended up selling that for $35 plus $10 shipping, and at the end of the day I ended up making $25.24, which was actually my highest profit margin for a single item this month. So obviously I was super happy about that. So next on Poshmark, I ended up selling this H&M green dress. I think I was sending out like discounts and offers and someone accepted one, so I ended up selling it for $16. And because this was my friend's dress, we ended up splitting the profits, so I only ended up making $3.93. So super low, probably barely worth it, but this was another one of these items that I've been selling for so long. I was really just trying to get rid of it at this point, so I was honestly really happy to see that it at least sold. Then next on Depop, I ended up selling this horse zip-up fleece, which you guys might remember I picked up from the Goodwill bins, and I had a feeling, you know, that it would do well because I sold something similar in the past. and it did do well. It was getting quite a few likes, there's a couple different people, you know, DMing me about it, and it ended up selling fairly quickly. So I did end up selling that for $25 plus $10 shipping. Shipping was expensive. Once again, I had to fit it into a flat rate box just to bring the price down, because it would have been like freaking like $26 if I didn't. So luckily I was at least able to do that. And then at the end of the day, I made $6.82. So not a huge profit. I was a little bit disappointed when I ended up calculating that and it was like, oh shoot, I only made like less than $7. But that was kind of just like my bad on the pricing. I probably should have priced it like just a little, like $5 extra. Overall, I was still pretty happy with that. Then next on Poshmark, right at the end of the month, I ended up selling these Topshop men's ripped jeans. I think somebody sent me an offer for $13, which I accepted because there wasn't really any other interest on this item. So at the end of the day, I made $8.53. So just under my $10 mark, but honestly, once again, I was happy to just sell it, especially because like no one else was really interested in them. And then the very last thing I sold this month was on Poshmark, and it was this Never Happy tie-dye tank. I believe I sent out some offers for this one, so somebody accepted $16 with a shipping discount, I believe. So at the end of the day, I made $7.85, which a little bit less than I usually aim for, but for just like this random tank top, I was happy with that. So I'm really curious how this month compares to the last, especially. I'm wondering what my average profit per item is going to be, because I feel like it was very polarizing this month. Like I had quite a few like high profits, but then also quite a few low. So that's going to be interesting. So as per usual, I'm just going to go ahead and calculate everything I sold, and we're going to find out how much money I made this month. Alrighty guys, so this month I actually ended up making $234.41. So I'd say this is actually pretty average for me lately. It's only about like $10 more than last month, interestingly enough. And my average profit per item actually ended up being $11.72. So a little bit above like my $10 goal, which yeah, like I said, I feel like that makes sense considering I had, you know, a lot of good sales, but also a lot of like not so good sales. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I am super excited for October because I believe last year in October was one of my best months, especially for back then. And I think October was my first ever what I sold video. So it will officially be a whole year of what I sold. So if you guys have been watching from the first one, thank you so much, because yeah, that's just so cool that you've been like following my selling journey for so long. And I really appreciate everyone who tunes in every month to watch these videos. So I think now we'll talk a little bit about H&M Rewear and their reselling platform. So like I said, I did end up posting 10 different listings on H&M Rewear. I think at this point it's been at least 2 weeks that they've been up for. So, you know, that's not a lot of time. Typically, my items on Depop and Poshmark take way longer than that to sell, so let's just put that into consideration. But I have been keeping track of things that I think maybe need improvement, or just things I noticed that I thought were interesting to talk about. Because when I did make that video about H&M Rewear, I hadn't actually posted an official listing yet. So now that I have, let's just kind of talk about that. So one of the very first things I noticed was when you're listing an item, it's not like Depop or Poshmark where you just post it and your listing's live, you know, people can look at it. H&M actually has to approve every single listing. So you actually have to wait for them to like look at it and like approve it. So I did start off by listing some actual H&M pieces. So my H&M ones got approved within the same day pretty quickly, like probably within half an hour. But my other listings that were not H&M brands and just like other brands did take like until the next day to be approved. So just keep that in mind. There was a person who actually commented on that video and said that they have had their listings pending approval for 3 weeks. So just be aware. I feel like if that's the case, then H&M probably will never approve it, because I don't know, it's not up to their standards for whatever reason. But it would be nice for them to at least say why your listing didn't get posted so you can improve. So clearly H&M has very high standards for their platform, which I guess is a good thing to keep like quality control, but also it's going to be like limiting to a lot of people and a lot of items. But I do want to mention, I think part of the reason why it takes, you know, long to get these items approved is because of their photo editing feature that they do. So if you guys didn't watch my video about it, basically they edit the first photo in your listing and they like erase the background and everything. And I have to say I am more impressed with this photo editing than I thought, because I'm pretty sure a real person is going in and editing these photos, because they're not only erasing the backgrounds, they are like, for my photos, they ended up erasing the hangers and having to like reconstruct the t-shirts. I'll like put it before and after so you guys can see what I mean. So it's a little bit more work than just taking away a background in like an automatic like photo app. So I think that's part of the reason why these listings take a little bit longer. And the reason why the H&M ones are so quick is because they just use their stock images they already have, so they don't even have to edit the photos. So that's why they can be posted instantly. Now, for the actual listing part, for the H&M items, when I typed the code in, it did a pretty good job of pulling up the exact item, but I did have to like, for a few items, have to change the categories. Like I think for a shirt, it like automatically put in that it was like pants or something like that. So it's not completely perfect, but it is nice to have like a starting point for sure. Now, the other kind of thing I don't really like about this app is I'm pretty certain that all likes are private. So when somebody likes your item, it doesn't appear on the post and it does not send you a notification, from as far as I know. So it's a little bit annoying because you really have no idea like which items are doing well or like people are interested in, or you really have no idea if like anyone's even seen these or clicked on them. So that is a little bit frustrating. It definitely seems like this is more of a just post it and leave it kind of app, unlike Poshmark, where there's like, you can share listings and, you know, interact in all these different ways. And another thing that I ended up testing is, if you guys don't know, on Depop and Poshmark, if you edit your listing or share your listing, it will appear higher in the search feed. So if I like edit my pair of Topshop jeans and then search Topshop jeans on Poshmark, my jeans will be towards the top. So I tested this out with Rewear, and this was not the case. When you go on their sorting feature and click newest, your item will not be at the top of the feed. It will just sort it from whenever you ended up posting it for the first time. So there really is no way to be proactive with this app. You really just have to post it and leave it. So I'm not really a fan of that, to be honest. So that is kind of all of my updates for H&M Rewear, and honestly I am not expecting to make any sales anytime soon on that app. I think that's everything I have to say for the month of September. I'm super excited to see how October does, especially compared to last year. So, and guys, let me know what your favorite thing that you ended up selling this month was in the comments. I'd love to hear how everybody else's shops are doing. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.